Hey, what's going on? My name is Mick, and I'm posting my day trading journey here on YouTube with complete honesty and transparency. And today is Friday, May 12th, and we didn't have too much complexity in the market today. Not much happened. It was pretty straightforward price action. I felt like we moved and pretty much trended all day today. Didn't really do much, had some straight trends, pullbacks, continuation, so it seemed pretty predictable. Today, my objective was just to try to scalp, which I've kind of been leaning on scalping a little bit more recently. So today, the scalping was basically, I'm not looking for major levels of importance, but I'm looking more for volume and momentum swings, just so that I can kind of get in and out real quick during the momentum swings. And I went 4 for 4 today, so I'm pretty happy with that. I think getting in and out of the trades quickly is good for these evaluation accounts, at least actually passing the evaluations because of that trailing drawdown, which can get a lot of people. So being able to stay ahead of that and not have to stress has been pretty nice. And I did come away with $337 today. So I'm doing pretty decent in my evaluation. I'm feeling pretty confident about it. And I took 4 trades today, 4 quick scalps. They were all short, again, going with momentum, going with the trend today, not overcomplicating it. Don't need to overanalyze a lot of these trades just because they were just in moments of momentum, like I was saying earlier. So the first bit was right after open. We had a couple of pretty fast candles shooting down pretty quick. I want to say my average time in a trade here was maybe, I don't know. Well, I guess I had 2 longer trades, so maybe that kind of would skew the results. But I think most of the trades I was in and out within a minute. Basically that same candle, a minute or 2. So got $75 here. And today I was trading 3 MES contracts. So keep in mind that these swings, these scalps were basically like one tick, like 0.25 in one direction or a quarter of a point. In this case, with 3 contracts traded, I literally just traded a tick. So yeah, it probably could have held for more, but at the end of the day, like, I'm gaining money. I'm keeping. I made $300 today, so I guess something is going right. Obviously a tick is pretty small in the grand scheme of things, but I'm trading pretty large size, so that's kind of the trade-off that you have there. So my next 2 scalps were like $37, which is pretty poor. But this one I wasn't too certain about it. I got in kind of late on this large candle here, so I think that's what kind of spooked me out. Was I got in really late after that. This next trade I really did not like. I was in this trade way longer than I had expected. So I did the same thing again, right? I got in on that super long candle, and this is about 11 o'clock today. We had this was pretty significant. So if I zoom out a little bit, we basically broke below. I had 4140 as a pretty important level throughout the week, really. I think going back like 5 days, it was a pretty important level of support for a while. Turned into a level of resistance and then support, and now today it was we broke through it and retested it. Had I kept an eye out for that, yes, I could have gotten short up here, but I was just kind of in a strange mode today where it was just like, let me just catch the momentum, let me just be in the middle of these big candles. Sure enough, I got in on this one. But here's the deal. I was expecting further moves down after we basically rejected from 4140. So I was expecting a continuation down, just because we had broken below this low, right, or the 4130 here. And that ended up, man, it felt to me like we were just going sideways here. I think I want to say I entered around like 4131. 31 and a half, right around here. So by the time we got back to this candle right here where I exited, it literally had moved one tick where I had gotten out, and I did not like sitting through this. At one point I was down like 200, $250 from this trade right here. So Didn't like this section right here. I wish I wouldn't have held it there, but I basically told myself, I was like, okay, when it gets down here, like, I'm going to get out. I'm going to just take something and I'm going to be done with it, because I just didn't like, I knew I got in way too late. I missed the whole candle, and I'm just glad that one came out green. Definitely could have been a much worse trade. And then the last trade of the day, this was the biggest one and actually had the most movement. And this one came around almost 1 o'clock today. This one I had a much better entry. I actually got in at the beginning of this candle, and it got out roughly in the middle of this candle here. So $187. Again, quick scalps. Just, again, I mean, if you zoom out, the whole day we're just trending downwards. So, what is, I guess there's two ways to kind of do trend days, right? Is to look for levels that you're breaking through, look for the retest of those levels, and then get in short or long if you're trending the opposite direction. So in that case, right, you broke down here, you broke down through 41.30, and then you on the retest of 41.40 is where you could get short. And then you broke down through 41.29, 41.28, and then come back up to 41.36 for the retest, get short here. That's one way to get to trade on these days. And another day is just wait for the momentum to happen and just take a small chunk of, any one of this area, these areas. Because usually the momentum on these trending days, the momentum after the failed retest is usually, there's pretty hefty candles here. So you can take little chunks of that like I did today, and it still will work out. So I felt pretty comfortable doing that. And then I think that's really it. That brought me up to 337. But the one trade that I wish I would have seen today was I have this. Let's see. Let's do auto. So I have this trend line here, basically going back to May 4th. And I was keeping an eye on this trend line just from May 4th, this kind of short one right here. And we had actually broken through that today. So I was kind of keeping an eye on it, not well enough to be paying attention during the trading day, which sucks because I missed this opportunity. And this is the 5-minute chart here. So what we had was we broke through, and that kind of coincided with the 41.40 break. So here's the 41.40 test and then the rejection. Once we had broken through, and this is the trend line I was just talking about. Once we had broken through this trend line, we kind of had a little bit of a slowdown, and then the retest of this trend line, I guess it was acting as support. I mean, trend line, just you take a support level and you turn it into a trend line, and it still acts as support as it touches it moving up. And then as it crosses below it, then it can retest and it can act as resistance. So in this case, this to me seemed like the cleanest move off of a simple trend line we had all day. And, in hindsight, this one could have worked as well, the 41.30 rejection. But for me, this kind of coincided with this trend line and a 41.40 at the same time. So definitely that would have had probably the most amount of confluence in my book. But aside from that, today I wasn't trying to overcomplicate it. Scalping, this is probably the best that I've done so far. I think on my account, my valuation account is at like 51,100 or 200. So I feel pretty good about where I'm at. I've had a couple of green days in a row, so I'm just trying to stay consistent at this point, and show up every day and keep trying to get better. So that's all I have for you today, my thoughts on the market, and have a great weekend. See you next time. Peace.